What is up, my friends? How are we? It is Thursday and you are very welcome along to the Anfield Agenda News Roundup. We will be live tonight for a watch along of the League Cup semi-final second leg, so I hope that you can join us from 6:45 p.m. We'll take you through the game, our match reaction and our player ratings video as well. Until then, I'm going to run through the latest news around Liverpool Football Club, including a potential for Madrid maybe giving up on the Trent situation. Then there's going to be some potential rule changes from UEFA, and then we're going to try and figure out, are these really Liverpool summer transfer targets, and are FSG going to splash the cash? That and lots more over the next few minutes, but you know the score. I want to know your thoughts, so do let me know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and of course I'd love you to hit that subscribe button and help us reach 300,000 subscribers. Right, let's get stuck into it, and the first story comes via the Echo, but from Defensa Central, who are a Spanish newspaper, I believe. And they have a wonder, is there a bit of a twist in the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation, because they go through Real Madrid's list of targets for the summer, but there's one name missing there, a name of Trent Alexander-Arnold. So the names that they say are targets for Real Madrid are Dean Huijsen, Miguel Gutierrez, Martin Zubimendi, Rodri, Florian Wirtz and Joshua Kimmich. They go on to name them as the top targets. No mention of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, that could just be a journalist forgetting to add it in, or it could be maybe an indication that they've given up. I know which one I certainly hope it is, but let me know your thoughts on it. Next up, ladies and gents, we're going to move on to a really far-fetched target for me. I bring this up because it's written. I don't believe it, so I got to put that out there. But Caught Offside have said that Liverpool are interested in adding Barcelona midfielder Frenkie de Jong to our targets. I don't believe this, to be honest, mainly because of the wages that he's on. I think he's the highest paid player in La Liga. Barca paid about £62 million for de Jong when they signed him. They say now, though, €35 million, or just under £30 million, would be enough to make Barca sell. Now, as I said, you would have to get through the whole wage fiasco, but certainly the price there is reasonable. Another one mentioned is Angelo Stiller, who of course did sign a new improved contract at Stuttgart, but he does have a €40 million, or just over £33 million release clause in his contract. Now, I got to make this clear because some people watch the videos, or maybe don't watch the videos, and comment thinking I'm saying all of these things are happening. I am, of course, not. I'm merely reporting on them, but I do want to know your thoughts on it, so please do let me know in the comment section. Now, Arsenal obviously knocked out the League Cup last night, 2-0, 4-0 on aggregate, but they picked up another knock, another injury. Before half-time, Gabriel Martinelli was substituted for Wanyeri, so that could be another player out now for Mikel Arteta as the run-in starts. They have, I think, 12 days in a row or so off now because they're out of the FA Cup, so they've no game there at the weekend. So they're going to go over, I think, to Dubai for a bit of warm weather training. But the injuries are starting to pile up for Mikel Arteta. And whilst, of course, we don't wish any injuries on players, it certainly does lean into our favour in the title race, if you want to call it a race, because I think it'll be more of a gallop for Liverpool towards that Premier League crown. Now, Arne Slot, our manager, speaking about what he has at the club and what Richard Hughes is up to. This is what he had to say. I think Richard said this already, and maybe I said it once or twice as well, with the new regime coming in, with Richard, me and some others. The first thing we wanted to do was see what we had here, and then we look to add into it in the summer. So that's where we're at with regards to the manager, but we're going to get into the finances of it for a second now. And the Athletic have said, with revenues continuing to increase and Liverpool pocketing a significant amount of prize money from the Champions League already, money will be available. But here's the clincher. Here's the sentence that of course you expect added in. Sustainability is key to owners' Fenway Sports Group model, so spending will remain sensible. Didn't last very long, did it? The big window, the money to be spent next summer. We're already a few days later now, and already it'll be sensible spending. Not huge spending, sensible spending. What is sensible spending? Is sensible spending paying what it takes to get the right player? In which case, absolutely sign me up. Or is it maybe another word for cheap? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But I'll tell you one thing. Liverpool fans are ready for this summer's transfer window, and people aren't going to take excuses. We've been given the big build-up already, so let's wait and see. Nothing we can do about it between now and the end of the season, so let's just enjoy the remainder of the campaign. But the summer will certainly be an interesting one. Now, speaking of that summer window, let's start looking at some of the players who Liverpool could possibly add in. And again, sticking with the Athletic, they say Benjamin Sesko is of interest to Premier League sides, and Liverpool were one of the ones mentioned as being interested last summer. Now, Sesko kind of divides opinion in our Discord group anyway. Some people feel he could be a shrewd acquisition. Others just don't think he's progressed enough and would much rather see somebody like Alexander-Isak come in. So let me know your thoughts on that one. Are you expecting an Isak type signing? Remember, Newcastle paid, I think, £66 million or something, so they would want to make a significant profit on him. So you're looking at a fee of probably over 100 million quid for Isak. Is that what Liverpool are going to spend? I guess, I don't know at this moment in time, but if Darwin sold for a significant fee, perhaps. Arne Slot on Liverpool's transfer mottos. He said, what quality do we have? These are questions basically that he asks before we look at a player. What quality do we have? Can we add something? Yes or no? And then there is the question, is that quality available? Only so many players are good enough to play for this team. I do like that. I've got to be honest, I do. I do like that, to say there are only so many players who are good enough to play for this team. That's exactly what I like to hear from our manager. But I'd like him to make sure that we can get those players in the future, so as the players who are good enough can be attained by Liverpool and brought to the club. Right, next up, Martin Zubimendi, a name that isn't going away, but now we have another name in the mix for a signature. This piece here from Mario Cartagena and Transfer Sector say there are increasing conversations at Real Madrid about Martin Zubimendi. He's on Real Madrid's radar. And that, my friends, is where I think the Martin Zubimendi story ends if Madrid come in for him. Because it'll be a lot easier to talk his family into moving maybe to Madrid and staying in the same city, or the same country, with a similar way of life perhaps, albeit not the same mountains, from my understanding of it. Don't really know too much about Sociedad, Real Madrid, or Madrid as a city. So let's wait and see what happens there. But if you've got Arsenal in the mix, Madrid in the mix, I don't know, unless we've got something tied up already, it seems unlikely. Now, The Athletic, back to them again, said Nico Williams is now more open to a move to England. Now, there have been some articles that suggested Arsenal are ready to pay his release clause, but The Athletic say that Liverpool are one of the clubs holding a long-standing interest in the winger, and you can find that posted up on the Anfield Agenda X account as well. And look, you know my thoughts on Nico Williams. I've been a fan of his for a long time. I would only see him coming to Liverpool if indeed we lost Mohamed Salah, but let's wait and see what happens there as well. Now, I promised you some news from UEFA at the start of this video about some potential rule changes. Well, UEFA are considering removing extra time for the knockout stages of the Champions League. Don't know how I feel about this one. I understand the thought process behind it. I guess it's to stop fatigue of players, maybe put a bit more jeopardy in the 90 minutes. I don't know how I feel about it. Look, in competitions like the League Cup, I think it's okay. Probably a bit less jeopardy than the riches that come with the Champions League. It'll be interesting to see if FIFA think about doing this in the likes of the World Cup, but let me know your thoughts on it. Would you be up for removing extra time and going straight to penalty kicks in the Champions League, or do you think maybe that's one rule change too far? Let me know your thoughts. And finally, Paul Merson, because it wouldn't be a video without the genius of Paul Merson coming to the fore. He said about Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, I don't think they sign any of them. What would he know? This is what gets me about Merson. You can have an opinion, as stupid an opinion as that is, which is on display here, but he said that he doesn't think Liverpool sign any of them. What I think he meant to say there was, I hope they don't sign any of them, because I'm absolutely desperate for Arsenal to finally win something after failure after failure. There you go. The Magic Man. I think of a few more names I could call him quite personally, but Paul Merson there, ladies and gentlemen. The gift that keeps on giving. And speaking of a gift that keeps on giving, as I mentioned at the start of the video, we'll be back tonight at 8:40. No, it won't be 8:45, Craig. It'll be 6:45 for a watch-along of the game against Spurs. We hope you can join us for it, where a place in the League Cup final is at stake. And you know my thoughts on this competition. I favour it over the FA Cup, so I want Liverpool to turn it around and book a place. Anfield is going to be bouncing tonight. Hope you can join us for it. I promise you a fun watch-along tonight. And we'll talk about the future as well. Much love, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.